Well, that's Akira, and I'm an Adam. I met her at youth group.
I was Jess is my best friend, and I went up to her, and she brought her brother that day. Yes, Jess DeLong's. Yeah. And I said, "Who's that cute guy? He's so cute." And she was like, "Oh, that's my brother." And I was so embarrassed. I was like, "Whoop, never mind."
She was obviously going through a lot of issues at this time.
It'll be 3 years in May.
First time I ever talked to her was because we were at youth group, and whoever, I don't remember who did it, was giving us gum or something for a lesson, for like a game or something. I had braces, I couldn't chew gum, so I handed her a piece of gum.
She told me I had the face of a chipmunk.
I did.
And he said I looked like a hybrid.
She was a hybrid.
My mom would come to church here every once in a while, and then I was friends with Pam Gorsuch, so I kind of kept going to youth group, and I was really interested in going to church then.
Awesome.
And then I just started making friends, and we did like mission trips together, which I really like to do.
I went like to like a couple youth groups, like times, like when I was like, I don't know, like 15, I don't remember. I went a couple times with my friend Adam, and I hated it, and then I stopped going. And then I went back at 17, and then I found a girl I liked, and that's the only reason I stayed.
No, there you go.
Wasn't
And that wasn't you.
Wasn't me. We help with teaching the youth on Friday. We're 2 of the 4 youth leaders.
Yeah.
And then on Sundays, we do the lessons for Kids Church.
I was in Palmerton, and then when I was 6, we moved to Slatington, and that's where I lived.
I lived in Northampton and upstate New York and Whitehall and Catasauqua
So you moved.
and Copley.
Okay.
We moved a lot.
Yeah.
So.
My childhood was not very fun. I was a loner. I would go to school and get made fun of every day. I didn't really have any friends. I would come home, play video games by myself in my room, and they told me I was like, what was it? You guys gave me a nickname. I just sat in my room all day. Anyway, but anyway, a hermit. That was it. I just sat in my room all day. I didn't like people, scared of them, and I hated them, and I wanted nothing to do with them. And that's pretty much what my growing up was. So I was very depressed and lonely, and I was a very angry person, and it kind of made me very selfish, and everything was about me, because I didn't really care about anyone else at the point. I didn't care who I had hurt to get out of my way. That's how my childhood was. Yes.
I mean, at first, yeah.
Yeah, I even made fun of people in youth group just because I didn't want them to get near me.
Okay.
And then I stay away from people.
My dad liked to drink a lot, and my brother got into drugs very heavily. He still is now. So it kind of just, I realized like I had no interest in that. I don't want to be involved with it in the slightest because I don't like how it made people. And I tended to just avoid those people that were kind of in school and in my life that did things like that. And I just wanted to be more positive and make a difference with my life and help other people. So it kind of just made me realize what I didn't want to be.
I wasn't raised in the church. My parents didn't really tell me much about God really at all. And then they started just coming to the gospel chapel for some reason. I don't know why. And then my mom gave me these books from Ted Decker, and I started reading those, and that was my first like interaction, I would say, with God, I guess, or with knowing anything about it. And then she gave me Left Behind series that was about the end times and the earth just getting destroyed, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever. And So I kept reading those, and then I went to youth group because my mom made me go, and they had a small group Bible study that Angelique used to run, and well, how do you know they're reading Revelation? So I that's what I was reading because I was so interested in that. So I guess pretty much that's the first time I ever heard about God was through Revelations. I studied that thoroughly, and all the prophecies I thought was the coolest thing ever because I love stories like that.
Yeah.
And if it's real, I was like, this is awesome.
Okay.
So that was my first encounter with God, but that's not when I accepted God.
Go ahead and keep talking.
And then, so I studied a lot. I read the Bible. I read a lot because of that. I wanted to know more, but it's not because I wanted to get to know God. It's because I wanted to know more than everyone else around me. I wanted to be the guy who knew everything, and that's pretty much what drove me at first. So before I even became a Christian, I knew a lot, and I understood that, you know, I understood the Bible, and I thought that was good enough. That's all you needed, and that was my first real encounter. And then I realized, you know, after researching it and stuff, and living my life at that point in time, this is when I was 17, that if you want to be saved, it's not just about believing, because belief isn't enough. Because I believed everything the Bible said. I believed it, but I didn't want to give I didn't want to give what I wanted to do up. I was content with living my life the way I wanted to do it, and I didn't want to change for anyone. And that was the roadblock for me. So I told myself that I was a Christian for like 7 years, just because I knew the Bible front to back. I knew a lot of things. I understood it very thoroughly, but I wasn't willing to surrender because, you know, my life is my own, and that's how I thought. And then fast forward, like, what is it? I'm 23, right? Yeah. So fast forward like 4 or 5 years from there, still same way, but everything was just kind of like crashing down around me, pretty much. I married Kira still, and that was pretty much the only thing that I wanted, really. I didn't really care about anything else. And my job, I pretty much gave my life to my job at the point. Then I became a manager at Sheets, and I pretty much gave my life to that place. And it turned me into an even worse person, more bitter, more miserable. And, you know, everything was going wrong. I was getting backstabbed by everyone. That job and just everything that was going on at the time, our marriage was kind of falling apart last year. And that was kind of what was going on, because she worked at Sheets as well, and she was a manager as well, so we never saw each other. Basically, our life was Sheets, and it was miserable. It was completely and utterly miserable. And that's when, you know, I was like, you know what, there's got to be something. I'm not doing, whatever I'm doing is not working. So I figured I used to come every Easter for Easter Sunday. I just always did. That's when my parents made me go. And then I came back here for Easter Sunday, and that's when you were talking about the God stepping on the mountain, showing up with Moses and whatever, and God showing up in your life. And I don't know, whatever you said, I don't remember really what it was all that thoroughly, but whatever you said hit me like a chord, and that was the day I decided, I can't do this on my own. I'm screwing everything up. So that's when I gave my life to God. The first for real, and it's not just about belief; it's about surrender, and that's something I understood but wasn't willing to do.
So I'm not a dramatic person.
Right.
Like, I can't stand drama. I just don't see the point in it.
Mm-hmm.
And my family is the epitome of drama, is what it could be said. So it was kind of just constantly one thing after another, all the time, and it was tiring.
Yeah.
And I was just really tired of seeing like the same cycle just repeating is exactly what happened. And So I would always hang out over at the DeLong's, and I eventually lived there with them. And it was just really refreshing to see an entire family. Yeah, they fought, like cats and dogs every once in a while, but then it's they would go back and hug each other and cry because they yelled at each other. Just things like that. And overall, everybody, yes. And overall, it was just really nice because there was that connection there. And you could tell that they all really cared about each other and that they cared about me. And I would go to church with them. And I'm sorry.
Go ahead, that's fine.
And I would go to church with them, and it just there's this one quote that I heard a while ago, and it kind of just really sunk in, and it was, I don't want to bend God's will to mine, I want to mold my will to His.
Yeah.
And that kind of just really sunk in. It's not about going to church and kind of keeping up with the Joneses. It's
Right.
building that relationship with God
Yeah.
to reach out and touch other people in their lives, especially when they need help.
Yeah.
And so that kind of just made me realize how much that God loved me and how important I am here. So it was actually when I first started living over there at the DeLong's, and that was when I graduated high school in 2012. And I realized that what I wanted to do with my life, and kind of similar to Adam, I started working at Sheets, and that kind of led me away from God and made me someone, I felt like I wasn't me working there. So I quit and got a new job and realized a job shouldn't be stressful and shouldn't make you kind of miserable. And so I started reconnecting back with church and everything. And I wanted to get baptized when I was in high school and I never did. So that's why we got baptized together in the summer.
Well, at first, like I said, I hated everyone. Pretty much people were the bane of my existence. I couldn't deal with them. I thought they were annoying. I thought the world would be better without them. That's how I thought at the time. And then once I actually, for real gave over, surrendered, stuff started changing for me a lot drastically. It started last year. This is still recent. I used to hate people. I couldn't stand them. I used to hate kids. I used to tell Kira how much I hated kids. That was so much. I hated pretty much everything about everyone. I was scared all the time. I wouldn't even go outside without a knife or two knives on me at all times. It was just, I was always a scared, angry, frightened person. And when I started changing, the song, I don't know how to explain it, but the songs when we were listening to the songs because we were listening to the Word FM,
Yes.
the songs started clicking for me. I don't know, and that's the music really directed me toward helped me get along. I listened to the Newsboys and Casting Crowns, and that it helped me to learn more. So even when I was reading, and I came from that bitterness and hatred to actually start caring about people. Yeah. I didn't really care about friends or anything else or anyone else really, and it was all about me. And then once I came to God, it just kind of changed. It wasn't about me anymore. It was awesome. It was about everyone else, and the term "I am second" really came to life for me. And then I went to college. I quit Sheets, went to college. I demoted myself, but I was still at Sheets, went to college, and I had more free time, and I had more time to relax, to experience actually the world without actually just working, and that being my life. And the way I can't explain it, but it just, something inside of me changed. My heart changed. I went to school, started going to college, and we had this English class. And that was the first time I started sharing the gospel with someone.
Go ahead.
And it was this from this writer. My English, okay, sorry, back to my English professor made us read this thing, this short story from some Catholic writer that I forget her name, and it was called "A Good Man Is Hard to Find." Oh, Flannery O'Connor, and it was about this old grandma who didn't grow at all for their whole life, and then she sends her family out, and she meets this killer guy, and then she tries talking to him about God, and it shows how she changes and how he changes. And I had to write a story, and I had to write a paper about that. And my paper was about how the misfit, who was the killer guy, how he represents humanity's search for God, because when they were discussing these things, he had all these huge questions and all these things, and she finally, by keep arguing back and forth with him, finally accepted God, and she had a moment of grace. And I wrote a story about it, and that's what got me. That's what changed me even more. Like writing that story. And my English teacher I had meetings with, and he told me that I should because I kept talking to him about God. We went out to lunch a couple times and just talked about God, because he was a Catholic, and he liked my story that I wrote for my paper, and so we talked about God, and he told me I should be a pastor, and that changed. That was like, what? I don't know, I was like I was the guy who hated everyone, like, and I don't know. I can't explain this stuff. But
You're doing great.
My priorities changed. The way I viewed everything changed, and everything I loved before seemed unimportant. Everything I put like it was the biggest thing in the world was nothing anymore. And then I had this drive to want to care about people, which I never had before. I had this drive I really liked kids for some reason. That was like, what? Well, that baffled me. I don't get that. And I don't know. It changed the way I thought, because I was a very negative, depressing person, and everything was pessimistic. Everything was hatred, or had something to do with something I wanted, and my entire viewpoint on life changed.
So I have social anxiety. You probably would not be able to tell that at all, that I have social anxiety. And it was really bad, to where like I would show up an hour and a half, 2 hours to like dance or to school, so I couldn't be late, so people wouldn't stare at me. And like I was terrified to go in the gas station to give somebody $5 for gas or answer a phone. And like after I started building my relationship with God, I don't know, it just didn't seem as important to me, and I didn't get anxiety over that. Like I don't know how to explain that. I just kind of got over it.
That's awesome.
And I used to kind of I'm very emotional, so I would get upset about things, no matter like how small and petty they were, and it would really bother me. And now it's kind of like, whatever. I'm just gonna go with the flow. It is what it is. So I just feel like I'm a lot more laid back. I just feel like he's a lot more important in my life. And like little things that happen throughout my life and Adam's, I'm just like, I always just think to myself like, wow, God did that to us to help make sure that like we're doing what we need to show other people. I love doing mission work. I love going out, and whether it's in the community or out to like faraway places and helping people. And I just think that our church would benefit from us going out into the community and building those relationships with other people and other churches, because it'll just strengthen all of us and like solidify that bond with God.
Yeah. You know,
I want to make the youth group grow a lot bigger than it is. It's pretty much the same kids that it's been for a couple of years. And I just wanted to build it up. I want to eventually be the youth pastor here. That's my goal. But I don't know. That's my personal goal. But I also would like to see be more involved in the church and like to have, I don't know, more programs here for the kids so that there's more incentive for them to come.
Awesome.
And just to get the church and the youth intertwined with each other to see that that we're all just one part of this big, this whole thing. I just feel like that one thing that you can learn from what I experience is that no matter how much you think you know and how much you think that you're right about everything, you're not. You can never know enough. And just thinking that you know about God and just thinking that you just believe that there's God and God's there and that you do good stuff is not going to get you anywhere. I can tell you that from my life. It just made me miserable. If you think you're going to just keep do good things every once in a while to get closer to God, it's not going to do it. You actually have to surrender first, and the other stuff comes after that. And it takes time for you to look back and realize that all these pieces that have been falling into place have happened so that He can form you into the person that He had to plan for you. So,
Like a puzzle.
yeah, like a puzzle.
I love
The
it.
Casting Crowns song. But the things that happened to me, I can look back on my life, my childhood. There's a lot of other things I haven't said, but my childhood and things I've experienced in my life have made me ready for what I am, what God wants me to do. So He puts these roadblocks and these things in front of you because when He knows that you're going to come for Him, He's making you ready for it because He's got a mission and He's making us responsible to let it go, to do it for Him, to work for Him.